Hi everybody, it's Maiden, and I'm here to do a little class on my blueprint for um, the new era of time that we're coming into. Okay, I want to talk about you guys and your tax cuts, okay? And I want to talk to the GOP regarding the plan to overhaul the tax code and Mr. President and everybody involved with that. And I want to address your perspectives and I want to give you some challenges at the same time. Okay? All right. So I have this list of your proposals, and we've got your 4 tax brackets, all these different things you guys are going to do. Okay? I just I just really want you guys to consider something brand new. I put together this design and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I don't have a lift for my laptop right here to bring it closer. I mean, I can show it to you closer, but I'm holding it, and so it's precarious as you're looking at it like that. So I'm going to talk to you from a distance, but then I'm going to bring you closer so you can see the detail on the drawings. And I want to get a copy of this at Kinko's and send this to you at Congress so you guys can really get a closer look at this, and you can look at it as long as you guys want. This is a very powerful outline that God has given me over a lot of research, over a lot of time, years and years of time in just obscurity with the Word of God. And this design is an economy based on intrinsic value, okay? And it's running in tandem to the external system that you guys already have going on. Okay, so when you're looking at this, what you guys need to do is you're looking at, okay, so this plan down here, your GOP tax plan, is a status quo plan that you're going to, what I mean by that is that this is like, okay, this is like you keeping the taxes, okay? I'm trying to get to the root of the issue. The root of the issue is that you're going to keep the taxes and you're going to manipulate the taxes like this, okay? And the reason why you're justifying doing that is because you need the tax money, right? Everybody seems to not see any money, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to please just look at this whole idea that you guys have done, okay, as a separate idea, all right? I'm not trying to touch this or get into this. What I'm trying to do is ask you to please consider a new idea that is running tandem to this, and then I'm going to address how my idea is going to affect rather this in terms of compression or more compound value, or how is this going to be affected if we do something like this blueprint here that I've got for you. Okay, so this blueprint here is an intrinsic value. You said you don't have any money or whatever. It's because the quantification on this specific idea that we've been doing for 300 years is saturated, and you guys can't find value here. I see tons of value there, but I can't get into that right now because we're going for freedom. Okay, so this privatization issue and focus and emphasis and all of that is where your mindset has been, okay? And we have a wonderful country, but we are in deep debt now, and we're not free. So those are the issues that this is going to address, okay? Okay. Alrighty then, so we come over here, okay, because I'm going to try to do this as I don't know if this is going to show up or not, but what we have at the very top here on the paper, so stay on the paper because if you go on the blackboard, you're going to get, kind of, I can't tell if you can see this. All right, so what we have here is a $6 billion allocation, number one, first thing, okay? $6 billion per U.S. citizen, all right? $6 billion to every U.S. citizen And that should be allocated by 12/12 of 2000, this year, 2017. I put here 2018, but it's 2017. So let me change that. Okay. 2017. So that's just in a month or so. Okay, we want to do this 12 billion allocation as of 12/12 2017. Okay. Now, why I did it on 12/12 of 17 is because it's a key date, 12/12 of 17, right? And if you need a corporation on a regular citizen to begin, you can start on the Red Door Enterprises LLC out of Santa Fe, Secretary of State. Okay, and everything I've taken a vow of poverty, right? So I am not getting out of poverty until everybody's out of poverty. So everybody knows that, who knows me and vetted me and all of that. So all of my secondary trustees, everybody who's got their hand in my back pocket, that you know who you are and you're signing off for me. And President Obama, I sent you a tremendous amount of value, and I trusted you with that. And that's what brings tears to my eyes. I have no idea what you're doing. Okay, so I don't have any idea of what any of my trustees are doing in my name, but I am having to, quote, trust you, trustees. Okay, and so you are supposed to be gathering things like this that have value that I have put together, that I'm going to give freely to this world, and you're to capture those and you're to create value out of that plan. Okay, and when they say, well, the privileged have privileged status because they are trustees in the well and the goodwill of the people, but the people are dying, the people are hungry, the people are in poverty. So the trustees are in breach, okay? And that's my issue with that, all right? So God is calling me to stand ground here. And it's very difficult because I can't go forward in my life till everybody's out of poverty. And God is saying, this is how we do this, okay? Now, the $6 billion figure up here is a justifiable figure based on a brand new quantification of intrinsic value, which we have not anything on the board on that, okay? The only value we have on the board is your program, this paradigm, okay? The old system with the old tax structures, and you're going to manipulate the old tax structures and you're going to exhaust yourself. Okay, so if you just leave everything alone for right now and consider this instead, because this all works together. This is a multi-step plan. Okay, the very first thing you guys are going to do is entertain the thought of a $6 billion figure credit per every single citizen of the United States of America, and that's going to be transferred on 12/12 of 18. Hell or high water. So it's not coming over the transfer from internet, or internet is not part of this transaction, or else it won't happen. Somebody will crash the system or something. Okay, so this is your job, is to think, okay, let's look at this as if we're really going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. I'm going to show it to you from a distance first, and then, like I said, I'm going to send this actual plan to you guys. Okay. So what we have up here is a $6 billion figure per each person. This is the flow chart. It's for 5. Okay, so the valuation is actually $600 billion per every citizen. But we can't infuse the system to a $600 billion figure per person, obviously. It's too much. The $6 billion is even going to be very big. But we need that. Okay. So we put this on the book, right? And the first things first, we want to change the paradigm from taxes to the concept of tribute. Now, if you do your homework and your history, tribute is actually a monarchical, reference, and giving tribute to the king or tribute to the monarchy or whatever. So we're changing tax to tribute, okay? So just hold that thought and don't go back into the old reference points of tribute. Even, keep your new idea of tribute to the, brand new. Okay, so just hold that there. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the jurisdictions. We're going to rearrange the jurisdictions. Hello? Okay. We're going to rearrange the jurisdictions, and we're going to come over to an emphasis of here. We have zones. Remember I told you zone valves? Okay, so we have a zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. Okay, zone 5, and then we have zone 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this kind of is the 6, and then 7 is out here. Okay, so there's a demarcation line running on the outside between, and you only have 6 zones inside of the boundaries of America. Okay, America is going to have one transitional boundary. It's boundary number 7 out here, right on the outside border, right on the border of freedom. Okay. Now, when we're talking about freedom in America on this idea, we're talking about a trust, a new Royal Human Life Security Trust. New Royal Human Life Security Trust. Okay? It's a birth to death trust, and it is a human life security featuring birth to death human life charting, human life connection in reciprocity, human life beneficiary and benefactor, and human life legacy building in domestic and in foreign, global. Okay? And then on this side is you're becoming, the whole idea is that we are going to now fund a person from the beginning of their life to the end of their life in transit, and they're going, and what are they becoming? What is the idea? The idea is a sovereign global ambassador of freedom. So all throughout the life of a person, now there is no direction. Okay, they're coming over and they've got a basic dream of our First Amendment, and that's it. And you're left to kind of find them, whatever. Okay, so this idea, okay, is a $6 billion infusion per every citizen. Now, these infusions drop into these zones, okay? And the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to pay off all of the national debt. So in my plan, instead of working on this GOP tax reform, what I would suggest you do is work on the budget of these 4 zones. Okay, now I'm going to show you the 4 up here is the key zones. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Zone number 5 is a court, a brand new ecclesiastical court. Okay, of freedom and sovereignty. Once you go through that court, you're free. You're done. You're on your way out into the world with your endorsements. Okay, but before you go out of the country, all that's inside of the country is created for your grooming and development. Okay, so what you're going to have is you're going to, in your first zone, is you're going to have your securities. Okay, these are the top priority securities. All right, let's read what they are. Number 1, your top security is your human lives. Okay, those are your human lives. That's your highest security, your human lives. Okay, now to help, the protections of your human lives are immediately next. And you have your air, the air we breathe, your water, your food, your medical, and your immediate shelter. That is, okay, so that is just one shelter. That's not your regular home base. That's just to get you safe, okay? That's your shelter there. All right, number two, our next biggest security is our homeland, America. And that is complete. That means our environment, which again holds hands with number one. And then we have our land, our air, our sea, and those are all therein. So those are the all the natural resources, those are the lands, those are the estates, those are, you know, everything having to do with our homeland, America. And that's not just the major body homeland of America here, you know, our United States, but that is America all over the world. We have, and our homeland has two new intrinsics, and that's the human life and the actual land itself, okay? So the human life has a higher value than the land itself, okay? That is in this plan, all right? Number three, is our security forces of protection, okay? Our security forces of protection. Those are our military, our intelligence, and that's a big sector. That's all our forces, okay? That has to do with our law enforcement, our military, all of our intelligence forces, and that is on our zone 2. Okay, stay with me. Alrighty, number 4 is our transportation sector, and that has to do with land, air, and sea. And then number 5 is our communication, which has to do with land, air, and sea. And every single type of communication is in that communication, okay? So over here in zone 2 is the expounding of that, but that is in zone 1 as well. That is, everything in zone 1 is absolutely necessary for America, okay, to be healthy, all right? Any one of these missing is going to mess us up. So we want to stay very, very solid on zone 1. Zone 1 is no compromise. No compromising on zone 1. Got it? Okay, so what is at the top of zone 1 is our banks, all right? Our banks. Right below that is our Homeland Security. And right below that is our Department of Motor Vehicles, which has all of our transportation sector, which is being used as a security on the books that we have now. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. But when I say the Department of Motor Vehicles, it is exactly the way you see it right now, but there's without corruption. Okay, all of these would be brand new without corruption. All right. So then we have, those are the sectors. Okay, we're again human lives, homeland, security forces, transportation, communication, and in human lives you've got your air, your water, your food, and your medical and your shelter, which is also your clothing. Okay. Shelter is not only shelter of your housing, but it's your clothing. It's the clothing industry as well. All right, so then what's holding that, or what's the foundation there, is our courts, our education, our trade, and our prisons. All right, and that's all being held together with our constitutional structures, which is you guys, Congress, all that, and our president. Okay. Okay. Now, so that's the absolutely mandatory sectors. Okay, and what's there? There is a new emphasis here in this plan, Maiden's plan, and that is to rearrange the courts. Okay, and I spoke about this on one of my other videos. But let me just show it to you right here, see if we can get close enough. Right here. You can see that. Okay, good. All right, so the top court is our Ecclesiastical Court, Maritime Admiralty. And the Admiralty is going to be for military and civilian. Okay, this is just showing citizen, but it's for military and civilian. here in our military, in our admiralty courts, in our ecclesiastical top courts, maritime, admiralty, ecclesiastical. In this, marriage would be brought up to this court. Right now it's down here at magistrate. And what else? This is going to be the human life precedent court. This is going to be the sovereignty court. This is going to be the freedom court. This is going to be the intrinsic value court. Okay, all up in here. Our second court is our civil court. And right now it's got the contract as the rule of law, and that needs to change to the human life needs to be the rule of law. And then contract is subordinate to the human life. Okay, it's going to have your intrinsic, it's an intrinsic extrinsic, which is the land and estates. It's going to have that in this court. And then it's going to have a new reciprocity partnerships because the old slave mortgages are going to be gone. Okay? The magistrate court is going to be still your small claims external issue court. And yeah, that's going to be your precedence there. Anything like that. Okay? So that's what that is. Now that is a new security. That court, changing the court like this, is going to be a brand new security because we're going to bring the citizen back into lining up with the Word of God and our Constitution as that we are sovereigns. Okay? Now, prior to doing this, we need two things. We need everybody's approval, so you would have to go to your justices and, get approval there. But right now, our justices are being dishonored, and all of our current system with the Constitution is being dishonored, and the human life especially. Okay, so I think they'll agree on this. Now, so that's first things first. Second thing is this $6 billion figure. You're going, okay, where are we going to quantify that? Follow me though, okay, before you ask that question. So these are the budget issues here. Then we have intelligence, military, communication, mail, television. These are our communications, but there's more to it. These are the main sectors, right? But on the quantifications, now having to do with the human life intelligence, human life military, human life communication, human life mail, human life television, we are going to change the quantification to forensics, okay? And we're going to do a new laboratory template for every single state to know, and these quantifications are going to shift, all right? And a little bit more like going from a ruler, like the ruler that you see right now. We are in the measure of 1 inch is this measure above, and it's like changing it now to metric, which is more European, but that is just an example, okay? The metric system is an example of the one of the quantification changes that's going into this, okay? Alrighty, so our military evaluation, that is one of our huge ones. All of our law enforcement, military, fire and rescue, all these guys that are in our military and intelligence forces, especially the ones that are in the front line securing the country, there is a new living trust that they will be given. This is a primary and secondary beneficiary enlistment. This is added to a highest sovereign honor of a life estate protection inside of their enlistment. So right now the enlistment benefit is a death benefit, I believe, of $500,000 or something like that, $300,000 to $500,000 for a brand new enlistment. These guys are going to actually now be billionaires, okay? When they go into the military, they are to be treated of the utmost care. And that is completely opposite of what we've got going on right now. The new quantification of value that is put on our military is inside the human lives. I know you guys are going to realize this in every single way, in equipment, in uniforms, in ballistics, in any kind of weaponry or whatever. That's all part of this, but what is more, it is more of an emphasis of the direct care of the human life and their families, all right, for at least, you know, the generations. There's so much money in this now that the generations we can, you know, we can quantify how far they go. But for sure, we've got, you know, at least another 3 generations in this money, okay? All right, so we are going to be giving a new living trust to every enlister. This is from the moment they, before they even go in, they're going to have a trust, all right? So this is basically another trust. So they have a double security if they go into the military, because the military is going to be a second blessing trust to them. They're going to have a double portion, basically. Everybody who's going to serve this country is going to need a double portion. So when your birth trust happens, you're here. When you decide to go, okay, I'm going to invest in the military, because you're now a billionaire. So everybody who gets into the military is got a very incredible focus on what are you going to do with America? You're no longer just spinning your wheels going, I don't know why I'm here. When you sign up for the military, you realize you have more disclosure than you have right now. One of the reasons why the morale is so low in the military is because they really don't have any sharehold status. They don't have any real disclosure of what is going on. They're just told, go to this, you know, quadrant, go to this zone. Here's your, you know, necessities, and wait for our orders. And so they're treated like slaves. Okay, they're not treated like people in the know and let's put our heads together and do something fabulous. Okay, that's not where they're at. They're usually in a very low thinking place. All right, so when people are born now, from birth to death, they are grooming from the very beginning of all the different sectors that will be affected. That will be affecting their lives, and that they can affect, now that they're benefactors, they can affect others' lives. So the identity in this entire paradigm is that you are a sovereign global ambassador of freedom in the making, from the beginning of your life to the end of your life. Okay, and you're going to be given this support of security, charting, connection, and reciprocity of contract, beneficiary of a lot of these different things, and benefactor as well. So you're receiving and you're giving, and your legacy building is all throughout your life. You're not just at the end of your life going, okay, I'm retiring and I don't know what I'm doing, you know. Okay, so the legacy building is going to happen all throughout your life, all right? So we come over to back to the military and our intelligence forces. Now, the key thing about this, guys, is that America has full disclosure of who owns all of this. All right? Right now, we don't even know who owns the Federal Reserve. So if the Federal Reserve, one of the hidden owners, is Russia, well, then no wonder they can manipulate the voting. If whoever is holding our money, if we think any different than whoever is holding our money is our leader, that is the absolute truth. Whoever's holding our money is our leader. Okay? We don't even know who's holding our money because they won't disclose who owns the Federal Reserve. If the Federal Reserve is owned by Russia, India, China, all of the world, we don't own our own country. Okay? And this is getting our country back. All right, so in this template, we don't have any foreign owners. Okay, America owns America. Here, all right. So this $1 billion, $6 billion, all of this new money that is going to be released on Intrinsic is on a brand new currency and on a brand new valuation. Okay, So it's a brand new learning curve on this. You can't just hack into this and know what you're doing. It's not going to happen. Okay, so our third zone is in our first zone on the human life. The human life will attach to air, water, food, medical, and shelter, which also has to do with clothing. All right, so the human life is moving, and it's got those three sectors, which is right here. It's our third sector, healthcare. That's our pharmaceutical, our food, our water, our air, and all of those emergency, but not just emergency. We can't live without air. So even on a peaceful day, we need to understand every breath is an investment. We're making an investment in every breath. We're making an investment in every drink of water, everything water having to do with water, and then food, water, air. Okay, comes down here, and this is the breakdown of how it looks in your life. All right, and it's very, very profitable. All of this is very profitable. So let me give you an example of that. Okay, so this down here is the human life. All right, now all of this is big money, guys, so pay attention. So Apple and, okay, the tech industry. Now, if the tech industry really wanted to serve the American public and the world, they would create something that doesn't have any need for electricity. It's a GPS that is a very, very high-end. It's a quantum kind of diode thing. Okay, but it's a pie. If you want to look at it superficially, it's like an apple pie. And in the first quadrant over here is the air, water, food, clothing, and the land, shelter, number 1, housing. It's our short-term housing in our first sector, okay? Surrounded on the outer 3 radiuses in order is healthcare, our intelligence and law enforcement, which has to do with zone 2, and our military and national security, zone 1, okay? So our zone 1 military national security is, when you hear that word security, that is number 1, always. National security, security is your issue. Security is what we're is the objective of all of this. Okay, right now we don't have it. Okay, we don't have it in our currency. Our currency has been a fiat, and our faith is now being breached. Okay, breach of trust is when you lie to the people and you crash the system and you do all kinds of stuff that freak the people out. You take their property and all of that communistic stuff. Yeah, that's breach. Okay, so the new system is clean. It's more streamlined, it's clean, it's got a lot of flow in it, cash flow. Hold your horses. I hear you guys. Just relax. Okay, just chill out. Just try to relax. All right. So one of the investments in the first sector, okay, so this is called your This is called your charting plan. It's the main wheel. It's the Maiden's wheel. But it's got a quantification. I'm showing it to you like a wheel, but it's really a globe. So this globe is really literally like right in here, okay? And this is the dimension of it even. It's a little round thing. It's like when the orb, it's like a little orb. But it's about you. It's about your life, okay? Each one is tracking your whole life. You keep it with you, and it'll take you through your whole life, okay? So what that will do is that will quantify options you have, what's going on right at that point in time in your life, okay? So for instance, you're in the first quad. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, the next half of the first. Quadrant 1 is 4 pieces of pie. Quadrant 2 is the next 4 pieces of pie. Quadrant 3 is the next 4 pieces of pie, and quadrant 4 is the last 4 pieces of pie. Now that sounds very simple, but it's actually it's just the start. It's just for starters because you're going bifurcation. Okay, so I'm not going to take away all of your bifurcated stuff. The bifurcations happen out here, out here. So we're not looking at that right now. We're looking at the foundations. All of this is foundation stuff. The money is your foundation. These 4 zones are your foundation. This brand new 5 ecclesiastical court. Zone 5 is our ecclesiastical court. And then zone 6 are these 2 brand new trusts, okay, that are the vaults of a lot of this entire idea of change. Now, in the first quadrant, when you're in this first quadrant, you're going to be eating, drinking, breathing air, finding resource to just get your bearings. Okay, if you're not feeling good, it's where you're going to go to just find out, what's going on with you. Why aren't you feeling good? You know what I'm saying? So it has all the basic necessities of your well-being under check to make sure that you're good. Physically, you're good. Okay? Now, that will get you on to your next quadrant, which is your 3 diverse transmissions of communication you get to choose from. Your transportation, 3 diverse different options of transportation, air, land, and sea. Your next piece of pie is your bank, and that is your zone 6. Zone 6 is your bank right here, okay? And that drops you down into the space to travel out into freedom, okay? So then the next piece is your trading. Okay, your trading is going to happen domestic and foreign. Domestic and foreign. You're going to do both here. But when you do foreign, you're going out of the country. Okay? You're literally traveling out of the country to establish your foreign connections. All right? A large part of this ambiance, a theme of commerce and all of that, is to reconnect in your physical person with other people, and you do the skin of the deal. It's the skin of the deal. It's the actual intrinsic vault of you inside, me inside, and I come to you, and by me only showing up in person is the only way some of these deals are going to get done. Okay, right now they're getting lost on the internet. All right? So tons of wealth getting lost in Ponzi schemes. Tons of wealth getting lost in the SEC jurisdictions. Tons of wealth getting lost in the middle of the night on the stock market. This doesn't have anything to do with any of those. All right? So this wealth is dropping down into the people's lives. And it is the human life that is going to have an intrinsic value. Okay. Zone number 4. Okay, so our number 1 zone, our security zones, are all included here. So again, I want to tell you and emphasize, we have our courts, we have our prisons, we have our education sector, we have our trade and industry and philanthropy, and our constitutional structures, which is our current structures, our current structures of Congress, and our House of Representatives and our president. So this is a rededication to our Constitution. Okay, so our zone 4 is our environment. We are already here in environment, right? Sector 1, attached to environment, human lives. They cannot live without air, water, food, medical, home, shelter, temporary, and fashion. But just because you see it in Sector 1, if you see it out here in any of these other zones, Zone 1 is, I'm sorry, not sector, but zone. Zone 1 is the first bank. The zones are another word for bank. Okay? Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4. Bank 1, Bank 2, Bank 3, Bank 4. You have Bank 5, which is this ecclesiastical court, and Bank 6, which is the personal bank of the actual individual, because every citizen has become a bank. Okay? And that's already gone, that's already happened in straw man. Okay. So, in environment over here in Zone 4, it's a backup of Zone 1. Zone 4, you will find, is a environmental backup, is a housing backup, and a trade backup. Okay? So, there's some things like getting fallen through the cracks in America. I'm a recipient of that. Okay. So for us not to do that again, our main important sectors are going to be repeated here in these other zones. So if you miss them here, you're going to catch them here, but you shouldn't miss them here. Our technology sector needs to be listening because you guys got a ton of investment here. Okay. So while you're in every sector, your orb, which is yet to be designed, okay, and I'm giving you that, Maiden, all my trustees, this is mine, and I'm handing it to you. All right. So every single quadrant that you're in, you're going to get connected to your orb, and your orb is going to tell you, do you want to make this investment? Because right now, while you're standing here, there's an energy in the air, right? Okay, so you're here in the first quadrant. You're here in the first quadrant, 1. You're breathing the air. You're drinking the water. Your food and your clothing is getting refreshed to your body. You have a temporary housing number 1, which is what you're going to find here. But you're also going to find your real home base on number 4, okay? So while you're here, though, you've got energy in the water, energy in the air, energy in the food, and the food is creating life inside of you, right? So there's a quantification there. And so what the orb needs to be having is a cross index of communication with itself to understand that if your human body is there, then that's your physical evidence that you are experiencing relief. If you are experiencing relief in any way, shape, and form in this whole design, that is an incentive to give back, okay? If you are feeling like, okay, I'm thirsty, and somebody gives you an incredible thing of water, and the water is something that they've created, but it has like some crazy awesome thing to it, and you feel super revitalized and you're good, okay, that's an indicator, an incentive to give back. You don't just walk away and say thanks. It really has to have a thoughtfulness to it to give back. Okay, and your orb, your little round thing, is going to remember this gave to you. These 3 things were given to you in a specific way somewhere on this, on your path, on your pathway. Okay, so the military, housing, the military going through this, this whole idea here is another paradigm because you're not in a space of the public's civilians. You're either going to be a civilian or you're going to be in the military on this one. Are you civilian or are you military? That's one of the first questions of orientation. Now, when to be a civilian means you can at any time invest in the military and all of the global issues the military is involved in because it's highly lucrative, and you're going to see that. So the military up here gets to be a benefit of everything they go to help out in. Like right now, Puerto Rico, if this was my plan, they would be all becoming shareholder owners of Puerto Rico for rebuilding Puerto Rico. Okay? So every good deed, before you can hear that, every good deed goes unpunished. Yeah, that's negative. That is not happening. Every good deed is going to reap a reward for you. Every good deed. is a reward for you in this right here. Okay? So in quadrant 1, if you add 1, 2, and 3, you have a hydroponic farming kind of situation. You can harness the wind, which is the air. You can harness the water. You can create a passive well wheel to move water to feed hydroponic farming. And then you're creating energy for the human life. And this is the kind of thinking. So you don't go into things anymore with a poverty spirit or a poverty mind or poverty mentality. Just give me the water, give me the food, and I'm out of here. Negative. That isn't happening anymore. If anybody is doing anything to serve you, to give to you, to love you, to provide for you, this is all being recorded so that you can give back to them sometime in the future when you have time to sit and plan and think and really put your thoughtfulness to it, that this could be a reciprocity relationship. Once that goes reciprocity, partnership, that goes on, and you get dividends from that for the rest of your life. Okay, so so these are the 4 sectors, right? Our first one is our banks, our transportation, which is our roads and bridges, infrastructure, our housing, right? And then our homeland America. Our homeland America and our housing are simultaneous. They're basically one and the same because you live on land, and our homeland is the land, of our inheritance and our stewardship calling, our vocation, literally. Okay, so this is kind of more set up for everybody to be wealthy, number 1. Everybody to have a direction in their life. You're never going to show up on somebody's door and go, what's going on in your life? And you're going, I don't know. Nothing. I'm in poverty, whatever, lost thing. Okay, now we're going to talk about addiction. Right here, healthcare. Okay, when you see food and you see air and you see water, you see these 3 together. This is usually where you are every single day. So you always want to look at that and see what is food, air, and water doing today. Okay? Now, everybody's going to be on a program of understanding how to produce, quantificate, how to maximize air, food, and water value. Everybody's going to be challenged to a lot of this daily stuff. Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to bring a freedom of grooming and development. You're grooming and developing your whole life to be free, okay? But you can't be free without knowing what is that entailing. Where am I going to be free? Okay? You really can be launched. It's like launching something out completely equipped to be free, and you can come home when you're ready to come home, but when you go, you're equipped, and you know your provisions, you know where to find your provisions all over the world, you know you're good, but your home base is this, which you have established all your life, okay? All right, so that's basically the idea. One of the biggest ideas about all of this is to get the jurisdiction into proper perspective, because the human life is now subservient and slave to the contract. And that is slavery. That is what we've been doing. And you guys, by doing this GOP thing, you guys setting 4 new income tax rates. I would can we just put this on hold for 5 years? I really think we need to do that so we can get focused on the stewardship, okay? The tribute is going to be the new template, and not tax. And so for you guys to understand these flows, you will see that that negates this. And you go, okay, well, Misha, you just said that this is going to run tandem with this. You've got 2 tandem systems. So wouldn't we keep taxing the extrinsic system? Because this is an intrinsic system. This is an extrinsic system. Everything external is here, everything internal is there. So internal is a new honor. Extrinsic, how is that going to run with this? If I were to do it. Okay, if I were to do it, it would be right here where you guys are going to rearrange the jurisdictions in the courts. That's why I said go to honor our justices and get approval, especially to the very top of the Bar Association, because those guys, the Bar Association, right here in our securities, right? Our securities in our courts, in our education, between the courts and the education, we have created a bar, you guys have created a bar association, right? So between the education and the courts, you have placed a literal bar like this between above here is the education, right? And then here's the bar where all of our attorneys are, right there. And then below here is our courts. Okay, so this bar right here is created by our education, okay, and governed by our courts. And then they're covered. This bar is completely it's not completely amnesty now, but they're going in with a beholden covenant to the bar. So the very first interest is this bar. It isn't a freedom bar. It is a hierarchy bar. And that's evidenced through the education. Now, if you look at the quality of the education, they don't pull back the curtain and really show them the quantification that's happened for 300 years. They don't really show them the Delaware corporations. They don't really show them the tax trap anatomy. They don't show them the dynasty trusts in full. They give them a trustee status, and they give them a high pay, and they give them a privileged kind of mentality, but they don't have the truth. And if they were to go for the truth, they probably would get ostracized by everybody because the establishment has created them. So the establishment, the education, is what I'm taking issue with over the bar. Because the bar is what they are because of the establishment of education. So, coming back into here in our securities is our education, okay? And that is education from kindergarten all the way through PhD, however long that takes. Now, the new education is going to feature a forensics quantification as well as the classification, it's classified documents, all of that realm of classified, okay? Congress and the House are going to have to agree that with our military and our intelligence sector, that it's better to be honest and and start revealing elements of classified, so that our education sector is actually teaching them true value, okay? Because if you go through all the years of education and you've learned just the external value here, you have totally stolen on one more level the opportunity for our executives to be as astute as they can be. You're setting up our executives right here for aiding and abetting. This is how you've damaged the people going through the colleges. Have they been getting an education? Yes. Has it been true? No. What has it been? Bias. Hello? Hello, hello. Okay, I don't know what's happened here. Alrighty, so I'm just going to keep going because the clock is going. Let me see.